Welcome to She is Resilient, a podcast for women on their healing journeys who are ready to start living their most authentic and empowered lives outside of survival mode. I'm your host, Tatiana, trauma and somatic therapist, as well as a holistic coach, and I'm on a mission to help more women heal their nervous systems. Each week, me and my guests are going to get real and vulnerable about the experiences that led us to becoming the empowered and resilient women we are today. You'll leave this podcast with the skills, knowledge, and inspiration to start creating the life you deserve. Because if another woman can do it, so can you. Welcome back to another episode of She is Resilient. Today I'm talking to you about the comfort zone, but I promise you it's not the kind of episode you think it is, because we all know that everyone talks about stepping outside of the comfort zone. And if you're anything like me, when I was living in survival mode, I was like, okay, great. I want to step outside of my comfort zone, but how do I actually do that when my fear and anxiety is quite literally taking over? And so if you have those same thoughts when you hear someone talk about stepping outside of their comfort zone, then this episode is for you. And the truth is, you can't. You can't step outside of your comfort zone when you feel chronic fear, anxiety, or depression. And more importantly, you shouldn't. Okay, hear me out. I know this goes against everything you've heard and learned throughout the years, and I'll be honest with you, a lot of what I do with my clients is helping them unlearn all the things that they see on social media or messages they've gotten over the years from caregivers or other family members. But here's the thing. I guarantee you that at least 90% of the people telling you to get out of your comfort zone don't have an understanding of how the nervous system works. And that's what I'm here to talk about. Because the only way someone can step outside of the comfort zone is if they have the capacity to step outside of their comfort zone. So think of a time where you stepped outside of your comfort zone. You did that because you had the capacity in your nervous system to do something that made you a little uncomfortable or a lot uncomfortable. That's it. The answer is capacity. If someone doesn't have the capacity in their nervous systems, they will not be able to do something that makes them uncomfortable. And they shouldn't. You should not do anything that you do not have the capacity in your body to do. Why? Because this could potentially re-traumatize your nervous system. If your body is already living in survival and you put it in a situation where you're going to feel even more uncomfortable and more unsafe, your body doesn't have any tolerance for that. So it will quite literally feel like you're dying and your body will be re-traumatized, keeping you stuck in survival mode. So instead of stepping outside of your comfort zone, what I invite my clients to do and what I would really encourage you to practice is really checking in with yourself and asking yourself before you do something that makes you feel uncomfortable, do I have the tools, resources, and capacity in my nervous system, in my body, to be with this discomfort? If the answer is no, then don't do the uncomfortable thing. Just don't do it. And there's nothing wrong with not doing it. It doesn't matter what people on social media say, because you don't heal by doing uncomfortable things. It's actually the opposite. You heal by feeling safe. You heal by feeling comfort. A traumatized or a dysregulated nervous system can only heal when it feels safe. And there is so much safety that can be created in your comfort zone, not outside of it. You only grow outside of your comfort zone when you have the flexibility and flow in your nervous system. If you can't tolerate discomfort, your nervous system will be re-traumatized. So I'll give you a personal example. If you follow me on Instagram, you've heard me talk about this a gazillion times. And if you're not following me on Instagram, please do so at tatiana.holistic.coach. I would love to connect with you there. But when I was living in survival mode, I had chronic anxiety and fear of speaking in front of groups. Not just large groups, but literally any form of group. There could be 3 people in the room, and if all eyes were on me, I would literally go into a panic. My lips would shake and they would twitch. My hands would get really cold and clammy. My heart would feel like it was pounding out of my chest. My throat would close up, and I would feel like wanting to cry. I wanted to run away. I wanted to hide. I was definitely that person that would call out of work if I had a presentation or a meeting that I was really anxious to go to. I was definitely an avoider. It was really that bad. And now imagine if at that point in my life, I was offered a speaking engagement of 30 people. Imagine someone saying to me, "Oh, you should just do it. You need to get out of your comfort zone." Or maybe imagine someone saying, "How else will you grow if you don't get out of your comfort zone?" What do you think would happen to me? What do you think would happen to my nervous system? Do you think I would have really grown from forcing myself to do something that I clearly had no capacity for? Probably not. It was only until I created safety in my nervous system and healed my nervous system through somatic experiencing, because I had tried talk therapy, I had tried other forms of healing, EMDR, internal family systems, meditation, breath work. I tried everything, and it wasn't until somatic experiencing that I was able to get out of my comfort zone. So if you don't know, I was recently hired for a speaking engagement of 30 women to talk about trauma, the nervous system, and somatic healing entirely in Spanish. Like, what? Can you believe that? It wasn't even in English. It was in Spanish. And I've talked about this a little bit on my podcast, but I've always felt self-conscious of my Spanish because of my American accent. Although since practicing my Spanish, my American accent has reduced a little bit, and so I think my Spanish is definitely improving, which I feel really good about. And so if you don't know, I am Hispanic, and my first language was Spanish. But as I got older, I started to primarily speak English, or more like Spanglish. And over the years, I've been made fun of by family and friends for the way that I spoke Spanish. So of course, that led me to speaking even more English and avoiding speaking Spanish. And to be able to facilitate a workshop that conquered 2 fears, 1, public speaking, and 2, speaking Spanish, was a really proud moment for me. And I can tell you this, it was not because I stepped outside of my comfort zone. It was because I had enough safety in my nervous system to take a healthy risk. It was because I healed my nervous system to the point where I could tolerate feeling uncomfortable without going into a panic. It was because my nervous system had the internal resources to be able to do something that was once really scary for me. You can only grow and expand and up level at the level of your nervous system. So please stop trying to mindset your way through life. Stop trying to step outside of your comfort zone when you're not ready for it, when your nervous system isn't ready for it. And I'll be bold here and even say, stop listening to people who have no idea how the nervous system works. Start leaning into safety. Start leaning into comfort. Start being more gentle with yourself. And I promise you, that's how you'll grow and evolve. When you heal your nervous system, you become unstoppable. And that's what I want for every single one of you listening to this podcast. Like always, thank you so much for being here, and I will see you in the next episode. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you absolutely loved this episode, I would so appreciate it if you subscribed and left a review on Apple Podcast, or take a screenshot and share this episode on social media. Don't forget to tag me at tatiana.holistic.coach. The more nervous systems we reach, the more generational cycles we break, and the more we contribute to a kinder and safer world. And if you're looking for somatic healing services, send me a DM and I'd love to chat on how I can support you. I'll see you in the next episode.